everyone, I'm Colleen with Awaken Catholic, and this is Awaken the Saint. No one understood Christ's words better than the desert fathers of the 3rd century when he talked about selling all of one's possessions to gain treasure in heaven. St. Paul the Hermit, also known as Paul of Thebes, is one of these desert fathers. In fact, he is considered by St. Jerome to be the first Christian hermit. Born in Egypt in the city of Thebes around the year 229, Paul grew up with wealth, education, and a devout faith. He is said to have had a gentle spirit and a sincere love of God, often spending time in prayer and meditation. In 250, the persecution of Christians began sweeping over Thebes, so Paul fled the city at the age of 22 and went into the mountains, leaving everything behind. Escaping persecution as well as the distractions of modern life, he found a solace in the solitude of the desert, where he could meditate and pray without interruption. Making his home in a large cave, it was there that he spent the rest of his very long life. Cave living provided only the most basic of necessities. He slept on the earthen floor, drank water from a mountain spring, and fashioned his clothes out of palm fronds. His only food was a half loaf of bread which a raven brought to him every day. How wild is that? I mean, talk about relying on God for your daily bread. However, most of Paul's life is a mystery to us. He lived such an eremitical life that he literally had no contact with anyone for decades. In fact, it wasn't until he turned 113 years old that the famous St. Anthony of Egypt, another of the Desert Fathers, visited him in his cave. Although the two men had never previously met, they embraced each other as brothers and spent time praying and praising God. Paul then explained to Anthony that his time on earth was nearly complete, for his soul longed to be united with Christ, and that God had revealed to him the way to the cave so that he could give Paul a proper burial. Although reluctant, Anthony agreed to leave his friend for a few days' journey to retrieve the robe of St. Athanasius to give to Paul. On his way back, he had a vision of the heavenly hosts, and among them was St. Paul climbing the steps of heaven, when he returned to find his friend had passed away while kneeling in prayer. According to legend, Anthony wrapped Paul's body in the robe of St. Athanasius, and 2 lions came to dig the grave for him to be buried in. Now that is an epic death. St. Paul took to heart Christ's call to give up all things for a relationship with him. He preferred friendship with God above all earthly comfort. It can be hard to relate to giving up literally all you have, even the assurance of daily meals, for the sake of growing closer to God. Heck, even fasting from one little thing can be difficult, but God honors those little sacrifices made with a sincere heart. Don't be afraid to lose something if it's keeping you from the Lord. Remember the words of St. Paul the Hermit. Let no one who has renounced the world think he has given up some great thing. The whole earth set over against heaven's infinite is poor. In other words, nothing you give up in this life can ever compare to the glory of heaven. St. Paul the Hermit, pray for us.